Great. Thanks everyone and welcome to our info session today on the CHRC's Student Work Placement Program. I'm just going to share my slides with you. So just give me one moment. Here we go. And I'm just going to make that full screen. Great. Okay, so hello and welcome to Talent Match's webinar in collaboration with the Cultural Human Resources Council, that's the CHRC, on their Student Work Placement Program, a student wage subsidy program. Before I introduce everyone, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples on whose lands each of our speakers is working from today, and we invite you to introduce yourself and acknowledge the land you are on in the chat. Our speakers are in various parts of the country, including in Vancouver on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and in the Ottawa-Gatineau region on Algonquin territory. My name is Debbie Reese, and I'm Talent Match's project manager, and I'd like to introduce you to today's speakers, Sofia Downing and Frédérique Coulaud from the CHRC. Sofia Downing is an administrative and communications officer for the CHRC. She's been enjoying her time working in a nonprofit environment and learning more about the cultural sector while applying her background in communications. Frédérique Coulaud is also an administrative and communications officer at the CHRC and has always been near the cultural sector. She's been involved in theater production, and in university she studied history, and she's happy to be able to work in the sector she loves. Also joining us today to help with technical support is Rosanna Dollar, who was recently ACE-WIL's design and marketing assistant and is now helping us out on a freelance basis. And there are also two ASL interpreters joining us today, Carly and Jillian. Just so you all know, we are recording the webinar, so you can rewatch it later or share it with your colleagues. And I will also share the slides so you don't have to take extensive notes. And if you have questions throughout the webinar, please add them to the chat. At the end of the presentation, we'll go through as many of them as we can. But before I hand things over to Sofia and Frédérique, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about the Talent Match program. So for those who may not know, a match stands for Museums, Arts, Tourism, Culture, and Hospitality, and the Talent Match program is a collaboration between the BC Museums Association, the BC Alliance for Arts and Culture, Go to HR, which is the BC Tourism and Hospitality Industries Human Resources Association, as well as ACE-WIL, the Association for Cooperative Education and Work Integrated Learning BC Yukon. The program is funded by the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Training. Excuse me. Talent Match's goal is to help museums, arts, tourism, culture, and hospitality organizations access student talent through co-ops and other work-integrated learning placements so that those students can in turn help those organizations recover and renew in a post-COVID world. The program provides employers with resources to make hiring a student easier. This includes information on funding, such as today's info session, help connecting to post-secondary institutions with programs that are relevant to the positions or projects employers want students to help with, and tips on how to recruit and onboard students into your organization. In addition to resources, Talent Match provides one-on-one support, so you can email me to arrange a time to talk about your organizational needs, and you can see both my email address and the Talent Match URL in the slide right now. I can help you brainstorm for the project or position and find the information that's most helpful to you in bringing on a student. I'd like to give you a brief overview of how most WIL, that is work integrated learning programs at schools across the province work. The most common type of work integrated learning is cooperative education. Students work approximately 420 hours over a 4-month period, which generally falls into the semester system. The next semester is winter, although some schools refer to it as spring, and that runs from January through April. Summer semester is May through August, and the fall semester is September through December. And through co-op, students are paid. Excuse me. There are other types of work integrated learning as well, including internships, work experience, or field placements, to name a few. There are schools with programs that require students complete a work experience as part of their studies. And this can range anywhere from a 40-hour placement working on a specific project to a multi-semester co-op. Most placements are paid, while unpaid placements are generally quite short. And I'd like to share a couple resources with you briefly as well. Firstly is the Simplified Glam Recruitment Guide. So Glam stands for Galleries, Libraries, Archives, and Museums. This lists programs that are most relevant to the Glam industry, or the Glam sector, sorry, which includes museum studies, library and information technology, as well as schools that have anthropology, Indigenous studies, and other relevant programs you can recruit from. It's a little thin on programs specifically related to galleries at the moment, but I hope to update it in the coming months. And of course, the image of the document is at the slide right now, and you can access the guide on the Talent Match webpage. There's also a similar guide for the hospitality and tourism sector, and I've begun building one for the fine and performing arts as well, and intend to create one that covers more administrative related programs. In the meantime, however, please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to research programs for you, or you can have a look at the programs that are listed on the ACE-WIL website. And when you're ready to start recruiting, we've created a general recruitment guide, and that includes tips on what to include in a job posting and sample interview questions. We have another tip sheet on how to hire students who can take initiative, as well as many other resources. An easy way for you to recruit from multiple schools at once is to use ACE-WIL's Post and Opportunity portal. It's not a job board, but once you fill in the form, it sends your posting to the schools you selected, and then staff at that institution will post your job. The form is pretty self-explanatory, but the most important part is selecting the schools, because the form will only be sent to the schools you choose. Now I'd like to give you a little bit of an overview about the Student Work Placement Program, affectionately known as the SWIP, before handing it over to Sofia and Frédérique. The SWIP is funded through Employment and Social Development Canada and is a federal program that gives post-secondary students across Canada paid work experience related to their area of study. There are now 18 delivery partners who are recognized associations and organizations that represent the interests of employers in certain industries. The 11 original delivery partners are TechNation, the Canadian Council for Aerospace and Aviation, Eco Canada, Biotalent Canada, Electricity Human Resources Canada, Mining Industry Human Resources Council, Venture for Canada, the Magnet Student Work Placement Program, Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium, Information and Communications Technology Council, usually referred to as the ICTC, and the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, which delivers the Talent Opportunities Program. In July, it was announced that 7 additional delivery partners had been added to the SWIP, including the Cultural Human Resources Council, who's here with us today, as well as Tourism HR Canada, the Canadian Agricultural Human Resources Council, the Fédération des Chambres de Commerce du Québec, which I may have butchered, I apologize, Food Processing Skills Canada, Trucking Human Resources Canada, and the Canadian Media Producers Association. Each of these 18 delivery partners have a different application process and slightly different eligibility criteria as they serve different industries or position types, but they do share some basic elements. Currently, and through till the end of March 2022, which covers the upcoming winter semester, the government has relaxed eligibility criteria and increased the funding available through the SWIP. It's currently funding up to 75% of a student's wage to a maximum of $7,500. The criteria that is being waived is the net new requirement. So net new means that the SWIP will only fund student positions that are in addition to the number of student placements an organization hosted the year before. This can be a challenge, but it's currently being waived, so you don't have to worry about it at this time. As I mentioned, the relaxed criteria is set to expire at the end of the winter semester, and unfortunately, we're not certain if it will be extended further and may depend on the federal government's next budget update. I won't go into detail about the regular criteria, but it's just something for you to be aware of if you're planning on applying for funding to hire in the future. There are other elements of the eligibility criteria as well, but I'll let Sofia and Frédérique tell you more about that, as well as their program overall, what positions they can fund, how to apply, and generally how your organization can access this subsidy. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Sofia and Frédérique. I'll just end my share and they can start theirs.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Debbie. As Debbie mentioned, we'll be just going into more detail about how the CHRC is delivering the SWIP program, and we'll give a brief overview of the process, and some more information, and I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Full screen. Okay. All right, so the Student Work Placement Program, as Debbie already went into some detail, this aims to connect students and employers for meaningful work placements that will apply and develop students' skills. Before I go in, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the CHRC. So we are a registered National Arts Service Organization, and we do have charitable status. Our mission is to strengthen the Canadian cultural workforce by providing leadership and innovative solutions to HR issues. And we also aim to better the HR environment within the cultural sector. And so we work for all the cultural industries and arts disciplines within this sector in both official languages. So this includes live performing arts, writing and publishing, visual arts and crafts, film, television and broadcasting, digital media, music and sound recording, as well as heritage. The CHRC also works on cross-sector issues such as cultural management, career management, and export marketing. So now jumping back into the SWIP program, as already mentioned, this aims to help post-secondary education students gain work-ready skills so that they are able to integrate more rapidly into the workforce upon graduation. And one of the aims of this program is to create more work placements for PSC students and to establish partnerships between educators and employers. I'll also go into the objectives of this program between the three main stakeholders, as you see here. That would be establishments, students, and institutions. So, oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong slide. Back to objectives. So for employers or establishments, this will help small, medium enterprises participate in work integrated learning. The SWIP program also ensures that quality WIL placements are offered and also ensures that larger employers within the sector act as industry champions. For students, this program helps students find relevant WIL opportunities within their field of study or career path, and also allows them the chance to provide feedback on the quality of these WIL placements. For post-secondary education institution, this promotes student work placements and recruits PSC students, and also allows institutions to collaborate with employers to align skills development to the labor market demand. Now, moving on to eligibility for employers and establishments. So employers of all sizes are eligible. They do have to be a cultural sector employer. It doesn't matter if the establishment is for or nonprofit. It doesn't matter, either works. However, federal, provincial, territorial, municipal governments are not eligible. As for students, they have to be registered as a student in a recognized post-secondary education institution. However, it does not matter what program or field of study they are in. They do not have to be studying something in the arts. It could be literally any program. They do have to be legally able to work in Canada. So Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or persons with refugee protection given under the law, they just have to be legally able to work according to laws and regulations of the province or territory where they live. And Frédérique, do you want to give a little bit more information regarding the international students eligibility?
So As for international students, we have received words from ESDC that they are indeed eligible to the program. If on their visa they have a work permit, let's say that they have at least 10 hours or more that they are able to do per week. That way they would be able to participate in this program with us. We do have words from ESDC on that. So yes, so we are happy actually to say that you are able to have an international student on your side for this project.
Yes, that piece of criteria has been met with a lot of confusion, but we have received word from ESDC themselves. Although on their website, it still says that international students are not eligible. We have got, as Frédérique mentioned, we've gotten confirmation regarding that. Moving on, the eligibility for post-secondary institutions, all publicly recognized PSC institutions are eligible. From universities to CJEPs, they're all eligible. SWIP funded placements must be relevant to the curriculum. There we go. So the arrangement, the type of relationship for the SWIP placements does have to be an employee-employer relationship. So independent contracts are not eligible. It does not matter whether the student is a full or part-time employee. There is no minimum or maximum of hours or hours per week. So we've seen some placements with like 10 hours a week or so. And of course, students can be more busy some weeks rather than others. So employers are able to be flexible with the amount of hours that they give out to the student during their SWIP placement. So there's no maximum or minimum. And the employee could be within all the occupation groups in the cultural industry, as I have listed here. So that could be creative and artistic disciplines, cultural management, technical and operational, as well as heritage collection and preservation. So the placement types, they could be, it doesn't really matter. They could be an internship, practicum, co-op, field placement. There's quite a broad range of placement types that are acceptable. And as Debbie already mentioned, the wage subsidy is up to 75% of wages are covered to a maximum of $7,500 per placement. We are not able to subsidize more than $7,500. So if 75% of the wages comes up to more than $7,500, we will not be giving more than $7,500. Okay, amazing. So we do have some objectives. CHRC SWIP or WIL placement objectives include students in the following funding priority groups. So that includes Indigenous students, BIPOC students, persons with disabilities, as well as those in official language minorities. And that's about it from us. To apply, employers have to fill out our employer subsidy intake form, and then we review the applications, and that's pretty much it. Frédérique, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
You guys were so fast. So again, if anyone has questions, please add them to the chat. I did record a few questions from the registration form, so we can go through those first. So first off, someone had questions regarding stackability, retroactivity, and an intake update. So with stackability, I think that's, can they use this funding as well as funding from another wage subsidy program?
So I believe they are able to stack this funding with another funding as long as it is not
Federal.
Federal, yes, federally sourced. So even provincial funding is acceptable. It just cannot be federal.
Okay, so not like Canada summer jobs, but if there's a provincial program, then they could fund with that.
Exactly.
Okay, great. And how about retroactivity? I know that Tourism HR Canada, for example, is allowing people who had a student last semester, like last summer, to apply and still get funding for that student, even though that placement may be over. Are you guys offering the same thing?
Yes, so we are able to backdate contracts up until June 4th, 2021. So any date up until that time, we're able to backdate, yes.
Okay, great. And then they also mentioned intake update, but I'm not quite sure what that is referring to, and I'm not sure if that person is here.
If that refers to how fast perhaps the turnaround is for our application, that sounds like it
Sure,
could
maybe.
be that. Well, if in case they're asking how fast they'll receive a confirmation whether or not they'll get funding, we usually do the applications in a rolling weekly basis. So we look at the applications received from previous week on Monday, and then we send them off to get reviewed. And so by the time if you apply, you'll get an answer in a week or so. So no longer than a week or so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So someone asked, will accommodations for the students be a requirement? I think this is referring to if you hire a student who lives elsewhere, do you need to provide accommodation? I know from the school side, it's not necessary. It is a nice bonus if you are able to provide accommodation or discounted accommodation to the student, but for the schools, it's not required.
This is a first for us. We don't think that it's a possibility with the subsidy for us to do that, unfortunately, but yes, it would be a great bonus.
Yeah, bonus, but not necessary. So someone else asked, what information is needed to ensure successful applications or at least the best chance?
There's not really any information that would help you get the subsidy more than, it's really a question of whether you're eligible or not. The one thing I will say to prepare for your application is to have the job description for the placement ready, so that way we can determine whether or not this placement sounds like it is acceptable. There's not really any other information that can, make you more acceptable or not. If you're not a cultural sector employer, then you're not eligible, so we can't accept that. So there's not really anything that I can say will help you more than not. I guess just being able to provide the job description would be the most helpful tip. The rest is kind of self-explanatory. And one thing to note is that when you're applying, you don't need to have a student in mind. That can be done later on. We're able to provide an agreement. If, say, you are eligible, we can provide an agreement before you have a student hired or even selected, or even, in the hiring process. That can be done later on.
Okay, great. There's a couple questions in the chat. So Lindsay asking if the recording will be available and sent to us. And yes, everyone who registered for the event, I'll be sending out the recording and the slides within a couple days. So no need to worry about that. And someone else asking if they can see the last slide again for the CHRC contact info, or if maybe you guys want to pop that into the chat.
Yes, we can put that in the chat actually, for sure.
Yes.
Into that in a moment.
Great. Okay, well, I mean, I think this all went really quickly, so I'm just going to ask some questions off of the top of my head, and hopefully they'll help someone there. So just you were mentioning, if someone is not a cultural sector employer, I will let you guys know that if you're not, you can contact me. As I mentioned, there's 18 different delivery partners for this program. So there's definitely one way or another you can get the student hired, even if it's not through the CHRC. I know, for example, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, I know it's a bit of a misnomer, so you think that only organizations in Ontario might be funded through that one, but they do actually fund across Canada, and their requirements are even more relaxed. Or if you have a very digital focused position, both Tech Nation and the ICTC will fund students who are working in more digital focused positions. So there's a couple different options out there, just so you guys all know. I guess one question I do have for both of you, Sofia and Frédérique, is about if you have heard any rumors or information about after winter semester, if the CHRC will continue to be a delivery partner.
We do not know yet. I think our executive director might have a meeting this week with ESDC, but we do not have any confirmation. And we really want to know what is going to happen in the future, but it's not there yet. So we're waiting.
Soon.
Let's
All
hope.
right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure a lot of organizations would like to see you guys continue on.
Yes.
So Peg is asking, are remote placements okay? So if the student is working remotely?
Yes, no problem.
Great. Let's see. Oh, someone is asking about deadlines. Is there a deadline to apply?
Not really.
No, we don't have any deadlines.
We are taking for summer of 2021, fall of 2021, and winter of 2022. So all at the same time.
Okay, so it's just a rolling deadline then.
Yes.
Yeah, and with turnaround time of only about a week, that sounds pretty easy.
Yes.
Yeah. And Crystal is asking about when the net new requirement is set to expire. So as far as I know, that's the end of the winter semester, so it's not an issue for upcoming winter semester hiring. Is that right?
So I never heard of that before, so I won't say anything on that.
As far as I know, it is supposed to expire after the winter semester, so it might be in place again for summer 2022 semester, but everything is sort of up in the air right now. As I mentioned, we're kind of waiting on the federal government to announce their budget update, and then that will affect if the COVID relaxations will continue or if it will return. I also know that ACE-WIL, so that's the Canadian, I don't know exactly what they stand for, to be honest, but it's the Canadian version of ACE-WIL. So it's an association of all the public post-secondary schools across Canada. I know that as an organization, they are doing some advocacy to try and encourage the program to keep relaxed criteria in place. So fingers crossed for that. I mean, if a petition or something goes out, I will definitely share that with everyone. Because yeah, I think it can be a bit of a challenging thing. Like, it may not necessarily be an issue for even the summer semester, but it's just challenging because, you know, not everyone experiences exponential growth, and you're not going to hire additional students every year. So, all right. Any other questions from out there in the room? It doesn't look like it, although I'll give people a few minutes. Is there anything else that you guys want to add to let people know about today?
Seeing if there's any information that we haven't.
I could put the link for our website in the chat, so that way people can go check out our website and see the other programs that we have. You might find something that is interesting for you. So I'll do that right now.
We also have a page for the SWIP program on our website, as well as a frequently asked question page. So so if you do have any further questions after this meeting, then that will be on there. I guess one thing that wasn't specifically mentioned is that the student doesn't have to be an undergraduate student. They could be a grad level or a master's student, as long as it's post-secondary. It's not necessarily have to be an undergrad student.
Great, thank you. And I know that the time is coming soon for the Young Canada Works program. Are you guys administering that as well?
Our colleague is doing that. We are not on that side of the CHRC projects, but yes, we could. I don't have any information on Young Canada Works, so I'm not going to go further on that. I don't want to say anything that is not true.
And me and Frédérique are focused on the SWIP program. So yeah, our colleague she's focused on the Young Canada Works program. So we're not really too in the loop with that, unfortunately.
No problem. I can let everyone know that the Young Canada Works, there's 4 different types of programs, 2 of which allow you to hire a recent post-secondary institution graduate. That's an internship that I believe is up to a year. And then there's 2 other programs that are for students returning to school for a summer or fall placement. I'm hopefully confirming today that we are also going to be doing an info session with the Canadian Museums Association. They do administer the Young Canada Works program, and their deadline is January 21st. So they fund heritage organizations. But like the SWIP program, there's many different delivery partners. So it kind of depends on what industry you're in and where you sort of fall. I know, or at least I think the CHRC doesn't actually have a student specific Young Canada Works. It's the intern for a recent graduate. But we'll be providing more information on that soon once things actually get announced. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I guess we can just, cut today's session short, which is nice. You can enjoy the sunshine. It's sunny here anyway.
The sun is setting in Gatineau right now, so
It is, yes, it's dark outside right now.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to just quickly put my own, the Talent Match URL and my email in the chat as well before we get going. But yeah, thank you both, Sofia and Frédérique, for telling us more about the program today. And thanks to Carly and Jillian for ASL interpretation. And thanks to Rosanna, who's there in the background helping with some tech support stuff. So yeah, thank you all so much. And thanks everyone for coming today. Again, I will be emailing out the recording and the slides within the next few days. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you to all of you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.